you. You are running to unseat Senator Tim Scott. I am curious about this because, well, quite frankly, I think he must be defeated because of a whole host of reasons that I will speak. I don't want you to speak these things because we're going to protect your situation, but I got lots of opinions. And I want to know, why is it, do you think, that you will make a better senator for your local community than he is?
Just simply because I represent the local community. 40% of the state is single parents, 70% of the state is working families, and 55% of the population here is women. And he represents none of the three. So
Mm.
I would definitely be a better, well rounded candidate, especially when it comes to knowing the needs of those who live in this state and want it to be easier for us to thrive.
I love that. And because this is Urban View, of course, one of my main questions is how will your campaign and how would your successful campaign impact the lives of Black members of the South Carolina community?
It's going to impact us greatly. The good thing about me is that I was not born and bred in politics. I didn't know anybody in any party before I ran in 2018. And so I don't have a problem speaking up for my people. I think when we get Black candidates, a lot of times they feel like they have to racially distance in order to be successful. That is
Mm.
just not ideal for me. Every candidate is going to make sure that the people closest to them is taken care of if they're a good candidate because it's what is in your natural wheelhouse. That doesn't mean you can't represent the whole. That doesn't mean that you can't take care of other people, but you most certainly should not distance yourself from your very own just to please a faction of people who care nothing about you.
Mm. When we think about Senator Tim Scott, we often think about him in terms of the national impact of his vote. He got a lot of critique for voting against Justice, now we can call her Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. He's gotten a lot of flack for sort of showing up in national politics in a way that has really belittled the interests and the needs of Black communities. But I'm actually more interested less in the impact he has had nationally. I'm really interested on the impact he has had locally. How has the constituency that he represents, how have they been impacted by his votes and the way that he engages with the issues that matter most to the voters in your state?
So I always say, thank God we don't get only what our senators vote for. Here in South Carolina, they have voted for against everything that we actually needed to thrive during the pandemic, coming out of the pandemic. When we talk about prison reform, he kind of sabotaged his own bill in an effort to say, I tried to do something. We have opportunity zones that have not proven to be successful here in South Carolina. And yet we have a senator who likes to go everywhere else and talk everywhere else, and he's not taking care of home. He went to one of the most struggling schools here in North Charleston, Stall High School, and he does nothing to give back and really pour into that community. And that's when I talk
Wow.
about that racial distancing. That's exactly what he is doing to make sure that he can be a viable candidate in the Republican Party. However, that is not just indicative for the Black community here, but that's he is really letting down the entire state. Coming out of the
Mm.
pandemic, working families are not just one color. We've all been impacted. We found out that there aren't as many barriers between us as we thought there was when it comes to who struggles, how they struggle. So we as a community, we have seen firsthand how he can be damaging, especially to the perception of the Black community. For me, I think
Mm.
that's the part that really gets under my skin. But I know that he's worried about me because, as you can see, he's posting more family stuff, he's posting more community stuff, and he's never done this before. And while he hasn't mentioned me by name, I know he's seeing what I'm doing out here, and I know that he can't contend with a straight shooter like me. I don't bite
Mm.
my tongue. I don't claim to be perfect. I don't try to be politically correct. I'm a mother of five, which means I'm prepared for war. And yeah, I'm bringing it to him, and he can't be a ghost. Most people here don't even know why they like him, Lurie. They don't know
Wow.
why. They don't really know him.
Mm. Now, you started out by saying you're a mom, you're a woman, you know what it is to be a single parent, and he is none of those things. And obviously, representation matters. But there are a number of folks out there who would say, well, because you're a mom and because you're a woman, perhaps you're not the best suited to really manage the difficulties of this campaign. Give us a little bit of your background because I.
So I actually have no experience in politics before won my race in 2018. I went through a divorce in 2016, and I really came out of it trying to figure out who I was. I went through depression and anxiety and all the things that come with stress. And I was reading a lot at the time, and I read this article about midterm elections and why they're important. And it blew my mind that I didn't understand the connection between our state government, city council, school board, and the way we
Mm.
actually live and how it limits or gives us autonomy in the decisions to our everyday lives. And it blew my mind. So I went to sleep that night and I woke up the next morning and called my best friend, who I call twin. And I said, I think I'm going to run for this seat. And she was like, yes, girl, go do it. And I was like, wait, you don't have no more questions? Like, you're not going to ask anything else? We all need a pusher. She's definitely my pusher. And she said, no, it's so you. It's so you. And so I Googled where to go, what to take, how to register. I went down there and registered. I was excited, had no idea what to do next, took a picture and was cute, but then I had to Google what to do next. And it said to campaign at
Wow.
a very high level. And I had no idea what that meant, but let me tell you what I did know. I knew that I wanted to impact my community in a different way. And so I Googled campaigning. I raised $720. I had 6 banging yard signs, and I still flipped the seat from an 8-year incumbent who had enough
What?
signs to cover my house, had signs big as my body. But guess what? People want real people. Like, I was going
Mm.
around and people were like, "Are you a liberal?" And I would laugh. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but if you ask me other questions, maybe we can answer those. I didn't even know all these terms. And but one thing I learned is you only need 2 things to serve. And everybody listening, I hope they really, really get this. You only need a backbone and the ability to read with
Mm.
comprehension.
Come on,
Everything
sis.
else can be learned. Everything else. I thought I was going to be behind because I didn't have all this political experience. I struggled. My support system is here. Thank God they believe in me. Even my baby daddies, as they say, vote for me. And even they believe in me. And so
Mm.
I have a support system that helps me with my children, who make sure that I have the ability to come and serve and fight for what we working folks need. And so when you have people around you that believe in you, that's how you know. That is how you know that
Wow.
you are doing something that is set out for you, even when I could have never guessed that it would be in my path. But
Mm.
sometimes you just got to close off the outside world and you got to go with that gut.
I know that's right. And how much was it that you said you raised? I thought you were going to add a couple more zeros to that numbers. I just want to
Girl,
be
no,
clear.
720 banging dollars from my friends and family. Thank y'all, family. Woo woo. Shout
We
out to
love the family. But we're going to
yes.
make sure we drop your link. And Shayla, let's make sure we tweet out the link to her site because we're going to have to give you some more than $700 this time around. We're going to, try to
I
make sure that
most
the
certainly
people,
need money. Yard
yes.
signs cost people are already asking, do you have yard signs? Y'all, that costs money. I need y'all to
Mm.
send money so we can make sure that we get the word out that we have a real candidate running, y'all. I have 5 children, but my children, Lurie, they are invested in this. They are excited for
Mm.
me. And I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Well, we're going to have some more questions for you, but in the interim, I want y'all to know that if you were to go to matthewsforsenate.com, MATTHEWS for the word for FORSENATE, matthewsforsenate.com, you too will be able to add to the friends and family support for Representative Krystle Matthews as she takes on Senator Scott. Now, in addition to all of the things you've already accomplished, another thing that stuck out for me is that I believe, if the reporting is correct, that you would be the first female senator from the state of South Carolina. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. We have
How
not had a woman. That's crazy, right?
It seems odd to me that in this day and age, there can still be a first based on gender in that way, particularly because, as you pointed out at the beginning, there are a number of people in the state of South Carolina, a number of single parents, many of them single mothers. How are you preparing to take on that glass ceiling? I mean, we understand what's happening with issues of race, but when it comes to issues of gender, sometimes there's this perception that, particularly in the South, there is an inability to get over some of these traditional hurdles, this idea that a woman's place might be in the home house, not the
Hmm.
representative house or the Senate. How are you
Hmm.
planning to take that particular challenge on?
So I am also the first woman to win my House seat as well, and
Wow.
yeah, so I am setting a new tone for women, for single mothers. For so long we felt like, well, we go 10 toes down for everybody, for our
Mm,
friends, our
mm,
kids, our husbands, our jobs, our bosses, but we put ourselves on the back burner. New day. If you can
mm.
do that for everybody else and drag yourself into the bed tired at the end of the day, then you can drag yourself into that list of people to be tired for. And it is high time, and I keep telling people this. You should support female candidates not because they're just female, but because it is time to support women at the same rate we support men, because we are as capable, if not
Mm.
more. All the things that we have to juggle, we always find a way to do what? Make it work.
Mm.
Women bring balance. And in a time right now where our politics are so polarizing, there is nothing that we need more than balance.
When you think about the key issues that your soon to be constituents are facing right now, when you think about the challenges that are most prevalent for them, what do you think a change in leadership would be able to change for them practically as they experience those issues, as they navigate those challenges? They have a set of senators right now who are, doing whatever it is that they're doing. But when you think about the key issues that they're facing, how will your leadership make an impact on their lives on a day to day basis? What would change for them?
What would change for them is, and I know this is not a traditional answer, I'm definitely not a traditional candidate, but having the ability to know where to apply pressure. I find that people are frustrated
Mm.
about a myriad of things that are going on in their lives, and they have no idea where or how to fix them. I
Mm.
am a straight shooter for a reason. I want you to know how to pinpoint the root and change it. I'm going to make sure that I use my role, as I already do right now, to give you as much access to that information and as much help as I can. One thing I am known for is applying pressure. Pressure is a good thing because pressure
Mm.
is what brings change. And so I want to make sure that people have a candidate that is tangible. Right now, when you call, you don't get an automated voicemail from me. You don't get an automated email. You get my email, you get my voicemail, or you get me. So that is something that we have not had. People get important and all of a sudden they're unreachable. And I do get it, right? There's a volume control situation, but that does not mean that they should not be responsive.
Mm. This is a phrase I've liked using here lately is you're speaking my love language. We recently launched a second edition of a course when I'm not on these airwaves at a law center that I run. And that course is all about applying pressure. It's the Advocacy Academy, and it is designed for
Hmm.
people who have been represented, but not really, right? They've had
Hmm.
representatives, but they ain't really been represented. And it's all
Hmm.
about how you advocate, but you have to teach people that, particularly when those
Yes.
communities are represented by somebody who is distant from the community, who disrespects the community, who don't think nothing about the community unless it's time for
Hmm.
them to actually get a vote. So I love that. That is actually a wonderful answer. It's not traditional, but it's actually the type of answer I would want from someone who is seeking my vote. And when I think about the way that votes are often generated, particularly on the Republican side of the House, what we see is that there's a lot of embrace of culture war. They ain't got a plan for housing, for health care, for expanded benefits of any sort, but they got a culture war coming to a religious institution and then ushering you into a
Hmm.
ballot box near you. How do you think Democrats should be responding to this Republican effort to push culture wars as a primary get out the vote strategy? It seems as though a lot of Democrats don't really know how to manage that. They don't really sure how to push back on that. What would you say the Democrats should be doing in order to more effectively push back on that effort?
So I think that Democrats are making a grave mistake, nationally and otherwise, by getting caught up in being on the defensive all the time. They're simply
Mm.
responding to what the Republican Party is leading as our topic of the day. And I feel like we should be amplifying and pushing our very own message. I am not a follower by any means, and I'm going to keep pushing and amplifying my message. If all you hear is Black people in the news committing crimes, then who do you think commits all the crimes? Black
Mm.
people. But when we talk about our party, I hate to say this, but we have a lot of seasoned individuals who don't necessarily know when their time is up. And for
Oh.
me, what that means is that they are not they're not poised to fight on a playing field that hasn't been adapted for them. We've moved into the social media area, we've moved into all these other areas where you have to be able to fight on all these different levels. And while you can hire somebody for that, yes, but if you don't know how to express your content in a way and really take advantage of this, then you end up with what we have now, which is a situation where people don't know which Democrats are running. People are not clear on our messaging. People are not sure what we're fighting for. Everybody's fighting for something different. Where's our marketing person? Where are all these tools, right? We keep saying, well, we have this great person here and this great person there. Why aren't they employed by our overarching party to make our message very simple, very clear, very clean, so that people know? And then we keep repeating, because that's how people catch on to a message. When you talk about
Mm.
culture wars, America is like the most culturally funny act in this country ever. Because if you're Black, you're just Black. Now you might
Right.
be from another nationality or whatever, but if they see Black, you're just Black. Like, I mean, what is that? You could be
Mm.
Jamaican, you could be Haitian, you could be Dominican, you could be. Do you see what I'm saying? We
Listening.
have a way of flattening people and putting them into types,
Mm.
and you have
Mm.
to be able to fight on that playing field. You can't keep trying to have this expanded playing field when the culture now is flattening you and putting you in a box.
Wow.
You gotta learn how to transition. Like, that's what I feel like we're losing on the Democratic side. And we're so busy sacrificing power for morality. And does that mean
Oh.
that we're going to become immoral? No, that does not mean that. But that means you have to decide when to concede and when not to, because if you don't have the power to make change, it doesn't matter if you're the moral right.
Mm. Now, speaking of flattening, we only have just a few minutes left, but there are some who say, and in fact, I heard this weekend, Tim Scott is so popular. The conservative white people love him. How on earth could anyone beat him? In fact, I saw on social media someone said, is anyone out there going to give Tim Scott a real challenge? What do you say to people who clearly don't know you? But what do you say to people who suggest that perhaps Tim Scott is unbeatable? Why do you disagree?
Actually, Tim Scott is not that likable. People in his party don't actually love him like that. So I think it's really funny. Public perception is one thing,
Mm.
reality is another. I serve with many legislators, and I am around people who talk about him all the time, and they don't love him as much as people would like to think that they love him. But again, Lurie, we go back into um, perception versus reality. People's perception is their reality, and he is a ghost to them. I met this lady in Walmart, and she goes, what are you running for? And she's like, I'm fully behind you. And she's like, but I like that other fella. I said, what fella? She said, Tim Scott. I said, what do you like about him? She said, he came from a poor background and something. And I said, 900 acres is poor. And she was kind of
Mm.
stuck. They
Mm.
don't really know him. Understand that? And so when you
Yeah.
have this person, it's a way to say, I'm not racist. I voted for a person of color. I'm not this. And everybody isn't racist. But that's something I can't help you with. Whether you do
Mm.
or don't feel racist is something you're going to have to internally figure out yourself. Voting
Right.
for a Black candidate is not the equivalent of being racist. The N
Mm.
word is not the litmus test for being racist either. The Confederate flag is also not the litmus test for being racist. We again flattening.
Mm.
I could have a whole conversation about flattening,
Mm.
but that is exactly where we are. We flattened everything. If you say the N word, you're racist. If you use Confederate flag, you're racist. But do you really think the real people that are racist are exposing themselves? That, I mean, we have
Come on
some that are
now.
just ignorant, but do you really think, come on, come on, let's dig a
Mm,
little deeper.
mm,
Let's teach critical thinking for once.
huh. Critical thinking in the mouth of a representative who clearly understands the assignment. Her name is Krystle Matthews. You can follow her and learn more about her at matthewsforsenate.com. She is also on the Twitters at KM4Senate. That's K like Krystle, M like Matthews, 4 FOR Senate. Final comment. Anything you want to say to the voters of South Carolina who are listening right now? What would you have them hear as we go out in the next 45 seconds?
I don't care what party you're with. I want you to come to my page, come to my events, get to know me, ask all the questions that you want to ask. I am here for it. I am a real candidate. I'm going to represent real people, and I'm going to tell the truth no matter what. Now, don't disrespect me because I give it back just as well as you give it. And so I just want to say, y'all, I am here for this. Let's go. Visit me, donate to my campaign, and let's get the word out. Don't assume anybody knows. We need everybody talking.